Hi, this is Mrs. Tellas. We're going to go through this review game for the test next week. So the test is Friday, November the 20th. So we're going to go through this review to make sure you understand all these problems. So if there's anything maybe you didn't understand number 3, you can fast forward to number 3 or whatever. I've also included a PDF of the answer. So if you don't want the video, you could just go look at the work if you'd like to. So the candies, they just click on and then it takes them to a problem. So we're going to go to the first one. So if g of x is negative 4x plus 10, find each value. So we're looking for g of negative 6. So what that means is I take the negative 6 and I put it in the x spot. And then I just use PEMDAS. So that would be negative 24 plus 10, which would be negative 14 as my answer. And then on the flip side of that, this one says that g of x is negative 70. Well, g of x equals y. So this negative 70 is going to go on the left side or here. So negative 70 equals negative 4x plus 10. And now I have a problem where I'm solving equations. So I would subtract 10 on both sides and divide negative 4. So that would give me 20 as my x. So those are two different problems. For the one, I put in for x, and for the other, I put in for y. So find the x and y intercept of the line. So this is where we plug 0 for the opposite letter. So I can put this in standard form. It's not necessary. I'm not going to. So if I have the x intercept, I plug 0 for y. So I would put 0 right here. So that would just 0 out. So that's 0 equals 2x plus 8. And then I just solve. So negative 8 on both sides and divide 2. So my x-intercept is negative 4, which means the point is negative 4, 0. And then if I do the same thing for the y, just the opposite 0, that would be 4/3 y equals 2 times 0 plus 8. Well, this part would just cancel out because it's 0. So now I just have 4/3 y equals 8. Then I multiply by the reciprocal. All of that cancels. Let's see, that's 24 over 4 if I multiply straight across. So 24 over 4 is 6. So y is 6. So there's my answer. All right, what's the slope of the line that passes through the point? So this is where we're going to use slope formula. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, and it equals m. And then the m is for slope. So negative 3 minus negative 5, and 1 minus 4. So that makes a plus. So that's 2 over negative 3 as my slope for this one. And here I've got letters instead and fractions as well. So on the top I've got c minus c, and on the bottom 1/3 minus 1/2. So that's 0 over something. Let's see what, I don't know. 1 ABC 3 minus 1 ABC 2. That's negative 1/6. But if I type that into Desmos, 0 divided by any fraction is going to give me 0. So my slope is 0, which means it's a horizontal line. Okay, so on this one, it's similar to that. I'm going to use my proportion skills from middle school to figure this one out. So I'm going to use the formula, m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, and I'm going to plug everything in. So this is my slope, my m. This is x1, y1, and x2, y2. So I'm just going to put everything in its place. So for m, I'm putting in negative 3/4. For y2, that's y. Minus is part of the formula, and then negative 2 on the top. Then on the bottom, x2 is 1, minus is part of the formula, and 5. Okay, so now I just need to clean this up because it's kind of a mess. So these two negatives make a plus. Okay, so I have, I'm going to go over here. Negative 3/4 equals y plus 2 over negative 4. And then I'm going to use my proportion skills, again, from middle school. So negative 4 times negative 3 is 12. And 4 times that quantity, I'm going to have to use the distributive property. So that'd be 12 equals 4y plus 8. And then I'm subtracting 8 on both sides and dividing by 4. So y is going to be 1 in this case. Okay, so if I try it down here, same thing. Okay, so I'm taking all of those values. And actually, if you're having trouble with this, press pause and try it by yourself and see if you can get it. So let's see, let's label it all. So this is m, x1, y1, x2, y2. So 5 halves equals 2 minus negative 3 over y minus 4. And I just got to clean it up because I've got a double symbol here. So 5 over 2 equals 5 over y minus 4. So now I'm just going to use my proportion skills. So 5 times y minus 4 equals 10. Then I got to distribute 5y minus 20. I'm adding 20 and dividing 5. So y is 6. Okay, so I hope you got that right. Okay, so this is what we've been doing the last 2 weeks. Write the equation of the line that passes through this point and is parallel to this line. So I need this in slope-intercept form. Currently it's not, it's in standard form. So I'm going to subtract x on both sides and divide by negative 4. So y equals, and then if I look at this part right here, there's a 1 right here. So that's negative 1 over negative 4. Well, that's just 1/4 because it would be a decimal, and that would be minus 6. The key here, though, is the slope. So my slope is 1/4. Therefore, the parallel slope is also 1/4. So that's what I'm going to use for my equation and when I plug. So this one's x and this one's y. So I'm plugging everything I know into y equals mx plus b. So y is 4, m is 1/4, x is negative 1, and b is just b. So 4 equals negative 1/4. I just multiplied those, and I'm adding 1/4 to both sides. So my b is going to be 4 and 1/4. So my equation, y equals 1/4 x plus 4 and 1/4. Or if you'd rather have it 17 over 4, that's also just fine. Do I have a second one? I do. Press pause and try it if you haven't already. Okay, so we want to put this in slope-intercept form, so we're going to add 5x to both sides and divide by 3 on all pieces. So my slope is 5/3. Okay, so slope is 5/3. And parallel slope is also 5/3. So this is the slope I'm going to use in my equation, and I'm using this point, this one's x and this one's y. So y equals mx plus b. Let's plug what we know. Well, we know that y is negative 8. We know that m is 5/3. We know that x is 7. And then that would be 5 times 7 is 35 over 3. And then I'm subtracting that, and I'm going to need a calculator for this. So you're going to use Desmos. So negative 8 minus 35 over 3 gives me negative 19 and 2/3. So y equals 5/3 x minus 19 and 2/3. Or if I change that to an improper, 19 times 3 is 57, so 59 over 3 if you've used Desmos. You don't want to use a decimal because it would be a repeater. Okay. Okay, so let's do the perpendicular ones. They're super similar to these, but instead of using the same slope, you flip it and change the sign. So here I'm going to have to subtract x. I've got to solve for y first and divide negative 4. So that's y equals 1/4 x minus 3. So my slope is 1/4, and my perpendicular slope is negative 4 over 1. So now I'm going to use this slope, not this one. Do you need me? Oh, it's going to be a while. Are you sure? Okay. You're welcome, honey. Okay, so we're using x and y here. So we're going to plug into y equals mx plus b. So y is -6, m is -4, x is 7 plus b. So I've just taken this information here, these three pieces, and put them in. So -6 equals -24 plus b, or 28. I'm adding 28. So that's 22. So y equals -4x plus 22 is my perpendicular line that goes through that point. Press pause and you try the second one if you haven't already. And there's a 4 right here. So I'm going to subtract 8x and divide 3. And my slope is -8/3. So my perpendicular slope is 3/8. That's what I'm going to use. I'm not going to use this one. Okay, I want the perpendicular slope. So my point is -3/8. So that's x and that's y. So let's plug in. Y equals mx plus b. So y is 8. M is 3/8. X is -3 plus b. That's -9/8. So I'm adding 9/8. So 8 plus 9/8, let's see, is 9 1/8. Or if you use Desmos, that would be 73/8. So y equals 3/8 x plus 73/8. Or you could also put 9 1/8 there. That's also fine. It would be difficult to type in the mixed number into Canvas, though. It's going to want just a fraction. So, okay, let's keep going. So if we graph the following, these are all horizontal. Well, two of them are. One of them is horizontal, one of them is vertical, and one of them is just a regular number. I know that by looking because the first one is missing an x. So I know that this is a horizontal line. And if I'm not sure, if I can't remember, I make myself a little table where y is always -7. And I can choose any number for x because there's no x. So if I graph this, 1 -7 would be down here, 2 -7, 3 -7. So it would be this flat little line. The slope of a flat line is 0. Okay, this one would be vertical because there's no y. So again, if I make a table, if I'm at all confused, if I'm not sure, it says x is always 5. So 5, 5, 5, and I pick some values for y, whatever I want. So 5, 1, 5, 2, and 5, 3. You can see it makes a vertical line. The slope of this line, all vertical lines, is undefined. And then on this one, this is just in slope-intercept form. So I could put plus 0 here. So the slope is 1x plus 0. So the b is 0. Up 1, right 1, up 1, right 1, up 1, right 1. So here's my line for that one. And the slope, the b is 0, and the slope is 1. Because there'd be a 1 right here. Okay. All right. Keep moving. All right, so this is like the one on the first page. So if I'm just plugging, so f of -12 would mean I'd put -12 right here. 130 times -12 minus 9. So that's -4 minus 9, -13. And this one means this is y. So I put it on the left. So -30 equals 1/3 x. I forget what the rest of it is, minus 9. There we go. All right, so I'm going to add 9 to both sides, which is -21. And then I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. Or you could divide by 1/3. So that's -63 for x. Okay, so this one's an application. It says the water is slowly draining out of the tub, and the table represents the loss by the hour. Write the linear equation that represents the situation. So we just need an m and a b. Okay, so we could calculate the slope by doing change in y over change in x, where this is gallons is on top and hours is on the bottom. So you can see it looks like for every I don't know how many hours yet, but we're losing 3 gallons of water. So my top number is -3. And over here, looks like every 2 hours we're losing 3 gallons of water. So I can even put the labels in so it makes sense. So for every 2 hours, we're losing 3 gallons, and the losing is the negative part. So this would be my m, -3/2, or my slope. And the b, I would have to figure out. So let's see, how could we do that? We don't have the b yet. Well, can't we do what we've been doing in 4.1? So we have a slope, and we have 4 points. We just need one of them. So let's pick the first one, so x and y. And then we'll do it up here so we can write our equation. So y equals mx plus b. So y is 45. The m we came up with was what? -3/2. And x was 1. So I just used these for x and y and my slope that I came up with. Now I'm going to solve and get my b. So I'm adding 1.5 to both sides. So b is 46.5. So my equation then, I've got my b and my m, y equals -3/2 x plus 46.5. Okay, so at 0 hours, there was 46.5 gallons of water in that tub. Then it says how many gallons will be left after 17 hours? Well, x is hours. So if I put 17 in there and just use PEMDAS or my calculator, this side, that will give me the how much will be left. So let's see. So -3/2 multiplied by 17 plus 46.5. That's 21. So that means there'll be 21 gallons left after 17 hours. And we already said that in the beginning because we found the b. So there was 46.5 at the beginning. Okay, so here we need the slope and we need the b. So the first one is set up perfectly for graphing already. My slope is 4/1 and my b is 5. So up 5, right 1, up 1. I can't go up 5 or 4 anymore, so I'm going to go down and left. So here's my line. Okay, this one's not in the right form, which is why I left some space. So we're going to add 4x to both sides. There's 2 equal signs in there for some reason. And divide everything by 2. So that's 2x plus 4. So my b is 4 and my slope is 2/1. So up 4, up 2, right 1, up 2, right 1. There's my second line. And this last one has a b of 0. So the slope is -1/2 and the b is 0. So down 1, right 2, down 1, right 2, and there's my picture. Okay, let's see, how about this one? Okay, so this is a story problem. It says Caroline read a book cover to cover in a single day at a rate of 55 pages an hour. Okay, that would be your slope because it's a rate, like the rate of change. 55/1 is your slope. After reading a book for 4 hours, she had 330 pages left to read. How long is the book? Hint, make a table, work backwards. How long did it take Carolyn to read the entire book? Okay, well, let's see if we can figure this out. So if I make a table, X would be hours, and after 4 hours, she had 330 pages left. Okay, and she's supposed to be reading 55 pages an hour. So after 3 hours, if I add 55 to that, 330 plus 55, she had 385. And after 2 hours, she had 440. After 1 hour, she had 495. And at 0 hours, she had 550. So Y would be pages. Pages left. All right, so the book, it looks like, was 550 pages to begin with, and she reads at 55 miles an hour. So let's see. So if it's a 550 page book and you divide by how many pages she reads per hour, that should give you how long it will take. So that would be 10. It'll take her 10 hours to read the book. Do I have to do anything else? How long is the book? The book is 550 pages. And how long? 10 hours, because I divided it by her rate. Okay, determine whether the relation is a function and state the domain and the range. So the domain, remember, is the x, and the range is the y, and it's a function if all the x's are different. So I look at these x's, and they're all different. And I look at these x's, and they look all different too. So they're both functions. Actually, I can just circle rather than not. Okay, and then to decide the domain, so the domain, I would just left 5, 7, 9, 11, 13. My range are all the y's. I'm going to list that range only once. Then over here, my domain, all the x's. And the range, all the y's. They're both functions because all the x's are different. All right, determine which of the following linear equations are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. Okay, to do this, I need the slope for each of them. So remember that parallel means they have the same slope. Perpendicular means they have the opposite sign and they're the reciprocal. So they have to be both, not just one, both. And neither could mean some other relationship or no relationship at all. So we need the slope. The only one that we can see the slope for is this one over here. It's in the wrong order, so I'm going to turn it around. So y equals 3x plus 1/8. So my slope on that one is 3. So now I need to solve the other two so I can pull the slopes out on those so we can figure out. All right, so here I'm going to subtract 9x. And then I'm going to divide by 3. So that's y equals negative 3x minus 6. So my slope on this one is negative 3. Line 1 and line 3 do not have a relationship. They're not parallel because they're not the same, and they're not perpendicular because they're not reciprocals of each other. And then if we do this one, both of these are on the wrong side, so I'm going to have to add them. So add 9x. And I'm also going to have to add 3y because I need it on the other side. Then I'm dividing by 3. So y is 3x plus 1/3. So the slope here is 3. So these two are parallel, but nothing is perpendicular. The first one is not parallel or perpendicular to the other two. Those are the representation between those two. Okay, rewrite the following equations in slope-intercept form and then sketch the graph. All right, so let's rewrite. So we need y equals mx plus b. So we need to subtract 4x. And divide by negative 5. So that's y equals 4 over 5x minus 4. So my b would be negative 4, so down 4. And my slope is 4 over 5. So up 4, right 5, up 4, right 5. So there's my line for that one. Let's do this one over here. We'll do it in green. So again, I have to solve. So I'm subtracting 2x because both of those are in standard form. So negative 10y equals negative 2x minus 20. And then I'm dividing by negative 10. So that's 1/5 x plus 2. Awesome. So up 1, right 5, up 1, right 5. So there's my line for that one. Keep going. Write the equation of the line in standard form. So to do that, I need the slope, the m, and the y-interceptor, the b. So m and b. So b is right here, which is 1, 2, 3. So it's negative 3. And slope, I do rise over run. How many up and over? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 1, or just 5. So my equation is 5x minus 3, y equals. And do the same thing over here. So my b is right here, 1, 2, 3, 4. And my slope is down and over. Let's see. Down 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My slope is down 2 over 5. So y equals negative 2/5 x plus 4 is my answer. Okay, it says write the equation in standard form. Remember that standard form is ax plus by equals c, where a, b, and c have to be real numbers. A has to be a positive integer, and a and b both can't be 0. So usually it's just that second one. A has to be a positive integer that messes with us. So let's see. So I've got 7x on the wrong side. So let's move it. So we're going to subtract it. That's negative 7x plus y equals negative 8. And remember that front number has to be a positive integer. Well, it's negative. So normally I'd put the negative. Maybe I can squeeze it in there. No, I can't squeeze it in there. So I'm going to put it in the back. So I'm going to change all of their signs by distributing a negative 1 through the whole equation. So 7x minus y equals 8. This is in standard form. Okay, and that other one, let's see, I need x up front again. Let's change colors. So we're subtracting 9x. So negative 9x minus 4y equals 1/2. And again, that front number cannot be positive. So I'm going to multiply everything by a negative and change all of their signs. And that's my answer. All right, solve for y1. So this is from chapter 1. This is review. And although this is slope formula, and it's missing a letter. It's supposed to look like this. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And I'm solving for this one, which means I need that y1 alone. So I'm going to treat this like a proportion. So second time we've had a proportion come into play here from middle school. So I'm going to multiply that side by 1. So 1 times y2 minus y1. I don't really need that 1 because it'll be exactly the same. Because when I distribute a 1, it's the same. And then on this side, I have m times x2 minus x1. I don't think I'm going to distribute the m. I could, but I'm not going to. All right, and then I need to subtract the y2 because it's added. So minus y2. So m times x2 minus x1 minus y2 equals negative y1. And then the last step would be to divide by negative 1. So you really could leave it like that. And then minus y2 over negative 1. Okay, and that would be solved. Or you could take the negative 1 out of the bottom completely. I would take it that way, though, and just change the signs up here on each of these terms. So that would be a negative m, and that would be a positive y2. So both of those would be fine. They both work. That's a tough one. Okay, it says determine the range, determine whether these 3 lines are functions, determine the domain and range for each. Well, they're all functions because they're all lines. Okay, so the domain and the range, though, we could do the domain and the range. We have to do the domain are the x's. So I look here at this point, this is negative 2, 4. And this point is 4, 2. So once I have those points, then I can figure out my domain and my range. All right, so let's see. The domain is here. So those are the 2 numbers I'm going to use, the ones I highlighted, the x's. So negative 2 is the small one, 4 is the big one. X goes in the middle, less than, and because they're closed circles, it's less than equal to. That says, including negative 4 and 2, the domain is in between them. Okay, so if I do the range, I use the y numbers. So I use these numbers back here. So that would be between 2 and 4 again. This time I use a y because it's range. And again, they're both closed, so it's less than equal, less than equal. You try the ones on the right-hand side if you haven't already tried them. I'm going to write the points out. So let's see, this one's 2, 5. This one's negative 2, negative 3. This one's 2, 1. And 5, 4. Whoop, 5, 4. Let's get rid of that so it's not so messy. There we go. So you do the blue. I'll do the blue one first. If you haven't tried it, you should try it. Okay, so for the domain, I'm talking about the blue one. So my small number is negative 2, and my big number is 2. And it's x, and they're both, one's closed, so the negative 2 is closed, and the 2 is open, so it looks like that. And for the range, for the blue one, this time I use the back numbers, negative 3 and 5. So the small number goes in the front and the big number goes in the back. Y is in the middle. This is closed, so less than equal to. This is open, so less than. And then if I do the red one, so again, for the domain, I have to use the x's, so 2 and 5. 2 and 5, x's in the middle, both closed, so less than equal to. And the range, I'm doing the y's, so 1 and 4, with a y in the middle, and they're both closed, so less than equal to. So I hope that's getting easier for you. It really is easier if you write the points out, and that way you can pull just the x's out for the domain, and you can pull just the y's out for the range. Okay, Yolanda went to get her car fixed. It cost $50 for the part and $200 for each hour. See the word each? For each hour that the mechanic worked on it. If X represents the number of labor hours and Y is the total cost of repairing the car, write the equation. So the slope here tells me that it's 200. And the y-intercept is 50 because the y-intercept is the starting point. So the starting point she has to pay is the $50 for the part. And then for however long it takes them to fix it, it costs more and more and more. So my equation then would be y equals 200x plus 50. Okay, that's it. That's everything reviewed for this test on this game. Make sure that you know how to do every problem on this and the practice test. If you're in good shape with both of those, you'll be fine on this test. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.